asset declaration. ASEPA is dragging the AG to Supreme Court over Ghana's quote-unquote weak asset declaration law. It says here the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA Ghana, has a public accountability organization, has filed documents at the Supreme Court of Ghana against the Attorney General over what the group says is Ghana's weak asset declaration regime. Led by, and I'll jump here, it says led by its executive director, Mensa Thompson. The suit by ASEPA Ghana, among other things, is seeking to get the Supreme Court to make a declaration that the Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Liability Act 550 violates the letter and the spirit of Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution, and therefore, to the extent of the inconsistency, be declared null and void. And the story goes on there. Do you know about this, the legal, what the law says about?
I think that what the asset declaration, what it says, for me, it's, I don't know whether it's for an interpretation. I suspect that he wants to invoke the interpretation jurisdiction of the Supreme Court
okay,
to interpret the asset declaration and say that that law, which says that you declare the assets and deposit it with the Auditor General without knowing the content of it, is inconsistent with the spirit. And I think that is I haven't seen the writ, but when I look at it, it is, I think that for the same parliament, which, because it is not only about the political elites, it's senior public servants.
Okay.
All of them are supposed to declare their assets. Now, what is the intent of the framers of that, the Constitution provision, that this is what has to be done? We need to look at that before I think that it can. Yes, there have been issues that, yes, when you are coming in, you should declare your assets. When you are also leaving, you declare your assets as to what you have. Now, it's not being even done. I remember even the top echelon of the judiciary, I think when former Justice, Chief Justice Enin Yobua, I think around somewhere he was caught in the web that he hadn't even declared his assets. I think that went through Shraj and the rest. So it is something that I think that we need to look at. But I think looking at it properly, is that inconsistent with our Constitution? I think that is what they want to do. For me, the best thing that we have to do is to amend that law. Once it is amended by Parliament itself, then there can be modalities as to what has to be done. But if everything, the interpretation, I don't really see it as an issue that sits within the confines of the interpretative jurisdiction. Because is it ambiguous? Is it, for me, it is a little bit clear. It's not that it's ambiguous. The fact that it does not reflect the spirit of that law is that declare your assets. What do you have when coming into office? When leaving office, what do you have? And that should be kept because it is seen as confidentiality. I think the confidentiality that, because they don't want it to be open for everybody to see that, oh, this is what his wealth. I think that is it. So for me, it's an issue that, let's see what they come. But I just hope and pray that maybe the court will not say that they don't see any interpretative issue in this matter.
And please wrap up for us with your final thoughts.
So, Kweku, first of all, the Constitution in Ghana is supreme. According to our Constitution, there's a we operate the supremacy of the Constitution. Elsewhere, specifically in the UK, Parliament would have been supreme. So when you have such an act of Parliament being inconsistent with the Constitution in the UK, the act would have invalidated this inconsistency in the Constitution. But as we speak now, as our Constitution is supreme, now looking at the Asset Declaration Act that he sought to speak about, I'm not so sure whether he's actually seeking for interpretation. And I'm not so sure whether the provision in the Act is inconsistent with that of the Constitution, because the Constitution actually provides for 3 months, that within 3 months of your assumption of power, you must declare your asset.
Okay.
And the Act actually makes provision for 6 months. So his bone of contention is that whether the 6 months invalidates the 3 months as being provided in the Constitution.
Okay.
And based on Article 2, when any person thinks that an act or omission of a person is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, you have to go to the Supreme Court seeking for declaration and striking that. So I'm sure that is how come he's in the Supreme Court. Okay. But the Supreme Court will have to let us know whether the 6 months actually is inconsistent with the 3 months
that it says
and then it carries out that order effectively as well. So I'm sure that is what he's seeking out for. And we cannot prejudice the case, and I'm not even competent enough to see whether it is inconsistent or not. But I think he has a valid or legitimate grounds to go to the Supreme Court. So we look out for the outcome of the case to see whether the Supreme Court will nullify the act.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time this morning. Thank you very much.